Howdy, this is David Groce, your Texas Tax and Lawman. We're back discussing real estate in our series, Big Hat, Big Cattle. In the old days, we used the turn of phrase, big hat, no cattle, to indicate a guy who looked like a rancher but had a tiny spread or was just putting on airs. I use the phrase big hat, big cattle to represent the type of real estate investors most of us dream of being. I have clients who own dozens of rentals and live off the income from those properties. The most successful real estate investor I ever knew owned more than 200 rental properties. That was his job. He bought rental homes, leased them out to tenants, and then collected rent every month as a source of income. He owned everything from essentially slum houses to first-class homes you or I would live in. Today, let's talk about what makes a good residential real property. By definition, I'm talking about buying and owning residential real estate and holding it for rent. I am not discussing flipping houses, vacation homes, or commercial buildings. In the coming videos, I will hit all of that, as well as farms and ranches, mortgages, and deeds of trust. So today, let's focus on the key components that makes a rental house a good investment. When I say rent house, I mean a residential property that someone occupies for their home. This could be a mobile home, a starter home, a duplex, fourplex, or an upscale home in a good neighborhood. A personal residence is a necessity in life. It's right up there in the definition of the essentials of life: food, clothing, and shelter. Everyone has to have a place to live. So when you look at buying a rent home, you are buying something everyone has to have. This is not a luxury like a vacation property or a ranch. That's the first key ingredient. Second, a good rent home has a good location. The number one rule in real estate is location, location, location. When I say a good location, I generally mean a residence in a high demand area. That can be anything from a condo in an upscale area within walking distance to a good job, or a train, or it can be a duplex with a backyard for someone's starter home. Location is more important than price, because there are some properties that nobody wants because they are too remote, too crime-ridden, or too hard to get to. Just because a property is cheap does not mean that it's a good investment. When you look at a property, envision in your mind the kind of people who'd want to live in your home. Is it a college student, a young professional, a retiree, or a family? Then ask if this home is a good location for them because of work, school, conveniences, or all of the above. Third, look at comparable rental rates. I know you think I was going to say price, but that is the denominator, not the numerator in our mathematical calculation. By that I mean the most important factor in a rent house is, does it produce enough rent to cover the cost of buying the home and then generate profit for you, the investor? Fourth, once you know the rental rate, you can then look at the purchase price. Take the monthly rent, multiply it by 12, and then divide that rent by the cost of the property. A good rental should net at least 6%. Ideally, you should earn 8 to 10% on your property. Fifth, do the math. Use this simple formula to see if the rental generates a positive cash flow. Monthly rent minus monthly costs equals net monthly rent. Multiply net monthly rent times 12 and you have annual net rent. Divide annual net rent by your capital invested and you have annual return. For example, you buy a rent home for $150. You rent it for $1,500 per month, you pay taxes of $350, you buy insurance for $60, you pay management fees for $120, and your net monthly rent is $970. This gives you annual rent of $11,640. $11,640 divided by your $150 purchase price is 7.76%. If you could find a $150,000 property that produces this type of return, then that would be a good investment. What other investment could you get that pays you a 7.76% return and gives you security in your principal? Sixth, remember the real benefits of a rental. Consider the following: no one can steal it from you. You have insurance in case of a storm or it burns down. Good rental insurance pays you lost rent for 6 to 12 months in the event of a claim, and the property appreciates over time. Even at the rate of inflation of 3%, your property will double in value in 24 years. At the current appreciation rate of 6 to 12%, your property may double in value in as little as 6 to 12 years. Now, that's a pretty impressive investment. Beyond my simple calculation, you probably want to temper your expectations. On an annual lease, it may take you 30 days for make-ready and leasing when one tenant moves out and another moves in. 1 month out of 12 is 8%. So to be conservative, don't calculate your return on 12 months. Build your return on 11 months rent. In our example, you would still make a return of 7%. Also, you want to keep some cash reserves for repairs and emergencies, like an air conditioner compressor failing or an appliance going bad. I would keep 3 to 5% of the purchase price in reserves for these maintenance needs. Call that a $5,000 reserve. If you find this ideal rent house, remember you still have to go through all the legal paperwork. You'll have to buy the house and close at a title company or a lawyer's office. You will need a written lease agreement for your tenant. In my illustration, I assumed you paid a 10% management fee to a professional property management company who would provide the lease and the tenant for you. If you want to do that for yourself, well, keep me and my team in mind. We can help you with your books, we can write your lease, and we can develop your policies and procedures as a property owner. If done right, you could be Daddy Warbucks, banking rental income each month. Hey, thanks for tuning in today. Check us out next time if you want to learn about flipping houses. Until then, adios. Texas Tax and Lawman Legal Disclaimer. Hey, I'm a lawyer. You know I have to have some lawyer mumbo jumbo. This is a general information video, not client attorney privilege information. The content is information only and is not directed to any specific facts or circumstances and cannot be relied upon as a legal opinion, even though that would be nice and save you a trip to the lawyer. If you have a specific legal question, feel free to contact David Groce directly or seek qualified legal or tax counsel in your state of residence, state of mind, or whatever place you call home.